What if you were sent to a world where everything is about magic? From childhood, kids are sent to learn about magic in that world. But even though our main character has a lot of power, people still think he's weak. So at the start of the story, we see our main character, Mesh. He's also heading toward the town because there's going to be an exam at the town's magic school where they'll be selected. And then on the way, Mesh encounters a beast. He was absolutely right because suddenly a tiger beast appears there. He defeats the beast very easily, and later we see that he arrives in town. At this Van's shop, he meets a girl named Alma. She's asking the shop owner for his best. Actually, the best sword is a heavy sword that can defeat anyone quickly, but she didn't want a normal sword. She wanted a sword that also had a magic spell on it. But the shop owner says he can't give her his sword. It takes time to enchant it, but she needed the sword right now because the exam is today. Then Mas steps forward and tells her, I can help you, but as soon as he sees the mark on her hand, he tells her, you won't be able to do it, but she still agrees, so she accepts his help. After a while, Lori makes her entrance. She's Alma's friend. The moment sees her, he falls in love, and Lori feels the same way. I wish I could find a girl like that too. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Then Mitesh uses a magic spell on the sword, and finally Umar creates the sword. When Lori picks up the sword with the magic spell, she accidentally hits it on the table, and the table gets sliced in half. Even Sauponer is shocked to see that Midi is still very young, but already has so much power. He ruined 30 years of my life. I can't even cast such a powerful spell on any sword. And then Sauponer says, you are extremely talented. You should become a center. For those who don't know, a center is someone who can use their power to transfer it into any object. Basically, it's a kind of magician. Mathey is very happy to hear this, but he doesn't say anything. Then we see that Mathey and his friends arrive at the magic school to take the test. Now, the very first fight was going to be Lori's against a knight in a sword fight. Lori uses that magic spell sword, which allows her to cut the knight's sword in half, and she passes the test very quickly. After that, it's Mathey's turn. Mathey's fight is against a knight named Gil, who is the leader of the knights. The knight says, I've heard about you, and I've also heard that the mark on your hand is the weakest mark in this world. You shouldn't have come to take this exam, but Mathey ignores his words and doesn't say anything. He just starts the fight and defeats Gil in a very short time. However, Mathey didn't use any magic spell at all, and that's why the knight was also extremely surprised. Meanwhile, we see that Alma and Luri are very happy about Mathey's victory. Now, the next test was going to be about magic. A target was set up in front of everyone, and they all had to hit that target using their magic spells. It was everyone's turn, and we see Luri, and also her mother, who is present there. With the spell, Lust of Glory, and using that power, she hit her target. However, she doesn't really know how to use her power properly yet. This is what Mai was thinking. Here, everyone else was using normal spells. Matai knew which spell he should use. The mark on his hand isn't very powerful. It can't generate much power because it's the weakest mark in the world. He moves forward and uses wordless magic. After seeing this, the examiner and the others standing there are completely shocked because they had some knowledge about wordless magic. After the spell, the place there was completely destroyed, but Matthias still passes. Then we see Principal Edward coming there to meet the students who have passed. He praises everyone and encourages them to do well in the future. Later, Edward calls Miss to his office. Matthias was a bit nervous while going there because he had used wordless magic and destroyed the entire ground. Maybe he thought Edward would be angry, but when he arrives at the office, Edward starts praising him and says he called him because he wants him to teach wordless magic to him and the other teachers. Then here we get to know that he is not a small man. He has two schools. He increases the marks in one and in the other school. He himself, by the way, they consider wordless magic to be very weak, which is why they have banned it. But Edit wants the students here to learn wordless magic, because Edit knows wordless magic is actually really useful. Then the other teachers who were standing there ask Moss if he will help Edit with this, and he says, yeah, that's fine, I don't have any problem with it. And now their first magic class begins. During this, the teacher brings Moss there and announces that he will now teach everyone wordless magic. Everyone is surprised because Matthias was his own student. Matthias demonstrates by hitting the targets. He hit all 3 targets at the same time. At this point, the other teachers also step forward. They admit that they don't know wordless magic very well, but they do know a little bit, and after that, all the students start trying it out. Luri is trying as well, but she has no energy at all, which is why she can't cast the spell. Meanwhile, Matthias is wondering why this world abandoned wordless magic in the first place. However, just then he looks at Luri, goes over to her, and gives her a bit of his own energy. After receiving the energy, Luri is also able to use wordless magic. A few days pass like this, and we see that in about a minute, a tournament is about to take place between the two schools. During this tournament, when Miss is about to fight and looks at the knoll in front of the battle arena, he senses its energy. He feels like its energy is unusually strong. As Miss is about to go down to fight, he realizes something. Humans have not yet defeated the demons, because he understood that the boy standing in front of him is actually a demon. On the other side, at their magic academy, where nobles teach, the teachers there were making fun of Mythos and saying that he would lose very quickly. But the fight begins. Here, Mythos was trying to make the dean angry so that he would reveal his true form. Matthew also uses some hard-level magic. He wasn't able to defeat the dean, so out of anger, he transforms into a demon. He himself himself couldn't understand what was happening, but as soon as he sees himself, he tries to run away because demons don't want to appear in front of humans. He was just about to fly away from there. At that moment, Mythos attacks him and kills him. After this, we're shown a scene from a long time ago. In this scene, a man is casting a very powerful magic spell, and he's doing it for Mythos. Because of this, the same thing happens again, thousands of years later. Then we come back to the present, where we see had defeated a lot of Q. After a while, they take Mythos to meet someone. They wanted to praise him, and the reason for this praise was that it had been many years since anyone had defeated Dean, because Dean never shows himself to anyone, making it almost impossible to find him. Mythos was also about to receive a reward for this. He says, I can give you some land, but Mythos doesn't want land because he doesn't want to become a farmer in the series, so he says, that's okay. Then he says, I'll give you a sword instead, maybe it'll be useful to you. But Miss, I don't even want that sword. Now, getting frustrated, he finally asks him directly, so tell me, what do you want? He says he wants permission to go to the dungeon, and he adds, whatever I find there, I want to keep for myself. Mythos knows that he might find something there that he really needs, so he says, all right, I can give you permission. However, they were also talking about King Dean. He knew that Dean had been troubling humans like this for many years. He says, you might not have noticed this, but these Deans don't attack directly. They hide among us and try to hollow us out from within. So why don't we create a barrier so that those Deans can't come here? And as soon as we find out about the Deans inside, we'll eliminate them. The team thinks this idea makes a bit of sense, so they send him to something like their magic room. There a lot of magical items are kept. You can take any item you want and also explain how to create the barrier, because Mythos is more intelligent than King. Mythos enters the room where he feels an intense energy emanating from inside a sword. Now, as soon as he sees it, he recognizes that this is the same sword he saw in his previous life. He knows that it is extremely powerful, so he takes it, and he also notices some other items that he had seen in his dreams. Then the scene changes, and we see that he is at the school where he is teaching everyone world magic like a teacher. He notices that now his students are learning very quickly. Although Mythos had already received permission to enter the domain, he was still wondering whether he should go alone or take Alm and Lori with him. And when he tells this to Alm and Lori, they get a little scared. Mythos tells them there's no need to be afraid. He'll be able to handle both of them at the same time. He says this, and he has already become a master. Then he demonstrates his magic to them and says that if they can master the skill, they'll only need to bring a single dust with them because this magic is extremely powerful. Mythos shows them his power. After seeing this, Alma immediately agrees, and then Laura also agrees to go there. In the next scene, we see that all three of them have reached the dungeon, and once they arrive, Mythos says, I wanted to show you something. Actually, he was talking about a small master. Mythos finds the monster and brings it over, placing it in front of them. Here, Mythos tells Alma not to use her arrows on it, and Alma does just that. Mythos was also explaining it to her. Meanwhile, when Alma releases the arrow, it doesn't hit the monster, but instead hits another monster that was wandering around. After that, Alma becomes so confident that she's ready to go on her own, and she leaves, giving Lori and Miss some time alone together. Then Mythos says, we can do what we came here for. By the way, she was talking about the magic spell. Mythos wants to learn even more magic spells. Mythos explains that first she needs to learn how to strengthen herself, and that she's not ready for everything yet. Therefore, it is more important for you to learn the basics first. After that, Mythos uses his magic on a wall, and then pulls out a treasure from inside the wall. He explains that treasures are hidden all over this place. Here, we have to find every single treasure, and at the same time, he was also explaining the basics of magic to her. Meanwhile, Lori was extremely happy. On the other side, we see Mama where she is beating Master with fire. She thinks to herself that she's proud of what she did. She left Lori behind, wondering what those people must be up to. Thinking this, she heads back and sees the following scene. Lori was practicing with a sword. That means she had learned how to make a sword, but she still wasn't able to do it perfectly. However, she had learned enough to make a simple sword, so she had made something for Alma as well. Alma is thinking, oh man, I don't know what all I was imagining about her. After that, we see them moving forward, and then they spot a lot of monsters coming their way, so they team up and attack them. Alma was also using her own attacks here. Then we see Midashnijanakles had pointed out that going home was increasing their power at double speed. And then, once the small monsters here are defeated, Midi first praises Alma and Lori, and after that, he creates a magical barrier there. This barrier looked a bit like a planet, and Alma and Lori are very happy. They knew that what they came here for might finally be happening. But then Mitesh starts to leave, and when they ask him where he's going, Midi says he wants to go a bit deeper. He was talking about Jan, and he's going all the way to the top alone because there he might encounter some really powerful masters. After that, when he gets there, he sees a whole bunch of masters at once. These masters are way more powerful than the previous minor ones. He starts attacking all of them and defeats them in no time. After that, he feels a powerful energy, which belonged to the king of this Jan, and he heads straight there. When he gets there, he encounters a huge snake beast. This was the king of this Jan. That king starts attacking him, but Nitisha's normal attacks aren't working on it. So Nitish destroys a magical thing right away, absorbs its power into his his sword and then starts attacking the king with it. Nitisha's powerful attack defeats that beast in no time. After that, a portal appears there. Because the king of this Jan has been killed, and since Nitisha's attacks were extremely powerful, some of the deans there also sensed his attack. After that, Nitish returns to the place where he had left Alma and Lori. Then he shows the king to both of them. In the next scene, they have reached the place where they can collect the Jan's items. After arriving there, they announce that they have defeated the Dungeon King. After hearing all this, the people there are shocked and don't believe what they're saying. Then Matisse shows everyone the Dungeon King's head, and they're even more surprised to see that Matisse also has a storage portal. Matisse takes out a big stone from the storage portal. It was so big that it could even be considered a national treasure. That's why the girl was shocked and was wondering if their guild would be able to pay for such a high-level treasure. She keeps watching. When they're leaving from there, we find out that they were given 750 for it. He also shares the gold with both of them so that they can take it later and finish the work that was left incomplete. And as they're leaving, they see them for 2 days and block their way. They found out about them and finished off the group. That's why they've come here, to take revenge. Matthias almost says something like that. Until then, you fight the weaker demon, and I'll handle the other demon. However, since both demons were together now, Moss comes flying in and starts attacking. During this, both demons are attacking him too. But then, Lori attacks him, and her attack hits one of the demons, who then runs toward them to fight them. On the other side, the second demon was attacking Moss with his magic, but then Moss easily destroys his magic with his own, which makes Dean realize, I underestimated you. However, after this, he ignores the magic attacks and focuses on a one-on-one fight. He moves forward with his sword. At this point, Matai had also come forward with his sword. The two of them were fighting. During this, Mai uses a little trick to get behind him and attacks, injuring him badly. But then he unleashes his full power and is now ready to attack. But just as he was using the trick, he created a formation behind him. Mai dodges the formation at high speed. That person didn't realize it, but during this time, Mai used a special technique to cast a spell that weakened his power. As soon as Mai gets the chance, he attacks him and kills him. Meanwhile, the friends on the other side also bought some time because he had trapped the other person with electricity, and when the opportunity arose, they attacked as well. Even Dean was getting frustrated with all these things, but then Mas arrives, and Matthias uses a very powerful technique here. With this light and its use, he scared him so much that Dean started to run away from there. But at the same time, Alma uses her arrow and cuts off one of his wings so he can't fly, and Mitty kills him too. The three of them were very happy because they had defeated 2 demons as a team. But meanwhile, the others were watching them all, and since only Mitty could stop them, he simply picks up the 2 and takes them away from there. In the next scene, we see that they are completely useless. They called Miss over to them again, and this time they also called Lori because they wanted to praise all 3 of them. And when they were praising Miss, this time she also asked for something since she was happy, so they agreed. At the same time, they also ask Alma and Lori what they want, and both of them ask for money. Laughing and feeling present, he immediately looked up and realized that someone was listening to their conversation, which is why the connection had been broken, and what Dean was doing today had left him badly injured. Mitty says that he can tell them Dean's location. Hearing this, King and Principal were very surprised, but when he tells them the address, they say that this place is really far away. Miss says, yes, you're right, but maybe even my teleportation magic won't work there. Hearing this, the Principal is extremely shocked and says, wait, you mean you can even use teleportation magic? Miss says, yes, and then adds, maybe we'll find a solution to our problem at the top of the mountain. No one really understands what he means by this, but in the very next scene, we see his friends were heading up to the top of the mountain, and on the way, Miss explains that he came here to talk. After hearing this, both of them are really surprised, like, what are you even saying? But Miss actually wants to get their help to fly to that place, which would also save them time. We also find out that the dragon they're going to meet is a female, and her name is someone Miss defeated thousands of years ago. Her second body is like that, and we also find out there that the man we saw being created is actually Mythosith, and he was using the spa on himself so that he could reincarnate after thousands of years. There, he comes near Eris and hides, and here, she wasn't supposed to digest him. She was about to attack him using a very powerful spa, but then he cancels the attack, which surprises Eris. Later, Eris finds out about Mythosith, and he didn't come to kill her, but actually needs her help. She explains this. She does want to help, but she can't. Her wings are injured, and this happened many years ago. Then Mythosith uses his magic to heal her wings, and after that, we see all 3 of them riding on her as they head out from there. Then, when the dragon is talking to Mythosith, Almo and Alori are shocked to see that this dragon can actually speak. Then they find out that this dragon isn't just any ordinary dragon. She's thousands of years old. She says, fasten your seatbelts because we're about to fly at top speed. But then Mythosith says, no, we can't go at top speed because Almo and Luri won't be able to handle it. So they end up traveling at a normal speed instead instead. Then we see that Myth descends just like that and, arriving first, kills the guard there. Myth, laughing, looks at the house in front of him and says, the one we came here for is right here. But then he senses a very strong and powerful energy there. Just then, Iris crashes into the house, and since Lori and Alma were sitting on top of her, they also end up in really bad shape. They go inside the house. After that, Myth has strengthened his telepathic connection with Alma and Lori, so now they don't need to speak out loud. They can understand each other's thoughts. This is because they don't want the demon to overhear their plan. Myth also gives them a few things and says, these will be useful to you later on. After that, they move forward from there, and even after walking for a long time, they don't see any demons. But when they enter a room, Myth senses some energy, even though there's no one there. At that moment, Lori uses her energy to scan the surroundings, and she senses Dean's presence. He was using a special spell, but as soon as Lori telepathically tells Mythos about it, Mythos immediately cancels the spell, which causes Dean to become visible. However, the demon didn't realize he was now visible, so they attack him. Alma uses her magic arrow so it spins around and hits one of the demons right on the head, which makes him even angrier, and he starts boasting and talking big. Hearing this, Mythos doesn't say anything, but he attacks. Through telepathy, Alma and Lori say this. Both of them get ready, and then, while fighting the demon, they start blocking his attacks. Meanwhile, Alma shoots some magical arrows at the demon's back, and Lori uses her magic on those arrows to coat them with poison, which causes the demon's attacks to slow down. Seeing this, he gets even angrier. Then he uses his trump card, which makes his power increase even more, and he starts attacking Alma and Lori first. But when he tries to do this, he can't because the effect of the poison has reached his brain and he can't figure out where he actually is. This is the perfect opportunity. Then after that, Alma uses another arrow and shoots it straight at Dean's head, knocking him down, which means Dean was defeated. Mitesh praises Alma and Lori and tells them both to go back to Reese because he has something to do here. He needs to find the other Dean. Mitesh moves ahead alone from there, and in an empty spot, he uses his split ball, which forces that Dean to come out. That Dean says, I've heard about you, you're a master. In fact, some demons consider you a monster because you're much stronger than humans. Mitesh says, there's no point in all this. I'm here to fight you, so don't try to pass the buck. Hearing this, the demon attacks him, but Mitesh was easily dodging all his attacks. Then Midi attacks, injuring the Dean, and that attack makes the Dean even angrier. He then unleashes his full power, but just then, Midi cancels out his spell. At that moment, the Dean starts using magic, making it so Midi can't see anything. But then Midi cancels out that spell too. The Dean gets scared and says, I never thought you'd become this powerful. But Midi explains, when I attacked your sword earlier, I had cast a cancel spell on it. That's why I was able to easily cancel out all your magic. After that, it's Midi's turn to use his special attack. He immediately creates an energy blast, which causes a huge explosion there. Alam was watching everything from there, and Lori was extremely worried about Midi. Then later, we see that Midi is completely fine, but there's now a huge crater there as well. There was also a very large chest there, next to which Miss was standing. Lori immediately rushes over to him, and she was extremely happy that nothing had happened to Mississippi. Meanwhile, Alva also comes there and asks what this thing is, to which Midi explains that it's a special dragon wine still. Maybe Dean was planning to use this to summon an army of 5,000 Deans here so that he could later attack the town. After hearing this, Alma and Lori get really scared. An army of 5,000 Deans. Then Mythos says that if we all unite, we can defeat the Deans. After that, we see the three of them riding on Eris, heading straight toward the school. On the way, Miss asks what her plan is now. She replies that she hasn't really thought about what's next yet. He asks, will you join us in this battle? She says, yes, of course. Later, we see that they get down, and then Eris transforms herself into a girl. She closes her eyes and tells them not to look because Eris wasn't wearing any clothes. Then we see them go to the principal and show him the horn that they brought from the Dean. Now the principal was even more surprised that they had defeated such a powerful Dean and come here. However, then Midi brings Eris forward. By now, she had put on clothes. Midi says that she wants to join our school. The principal agrees to this, but he says that Eris will also have to take the same test that you all took when joining. Then, as Miss was leaving, he was thinking that if Eris used her full power, she could destroy the entire area. Somehow, her power would have to be limited. On the way, Miss spends most of the time designing the cast for Eris's hand so that no one would be suspicious of her. Because in this world, everyone is born with something on their hand. Then, everyone else wishes Eris all the best. The next day, we see that the test had already started. First was the written test, and Eris had no idea how to write, so she was acting really strangely. The principal was saying, how can I possibly let her pass like this? Later, during the second test, Eris was supposed to have a fight. This fight was with Gil, the same person Miss had fought with earlier. Then we see that when she was trying to pick up the sword, she dropped it because she had never held a sword before. Just then, her opponent comes at her to attack, but Eris grabs her sword and, attacking back, throws her opponent far away from there. Mission creates a barrier around Gil, to save his life, but since he fell far away, it means he lost. Then we see that she has passed this test. After that, she had to take a magic test where she had to hit a target. Eris has a lot of power, but even so, she wasn't able to hit the right target. Her attacks were extremely powerful, but they were all going in the same direction, so she had to create a shield in front of herself. Later, she tries once or twice more, but still can't hit the target, which makes her a little angry, so she uses even more power. Seeing this, barrier is created in front of her, and then we see that Eris completely destroys the whole area with her attack. Only the area protected by the barrier Mathis created was left untouched. Technically, the targets were hit, so Eris is passed. Then we are shown that the school is conducting mining operations because they are finding a lot of crystals there. But mining requires energy, which comes from crystals. Some people have the Crest of Glory, which is very powerful, while many others have weaker crystals. So the rest of them were weak. This power is mostly possessed by every student of the First Academy, so the principal decides to call the students of the First Academy here. First, he calls the principal of that academy and let me tell you about this. However, that principal was not agreeing to this. To this, our principal says, we don't have time to fight. Right now, we have more important things to do. With that crystal, we can make ourselves even stronger. However, at the same time, the principal also says, since we won, you have to listen to us. But that other principal just wasn't willing to agree. Midas says, if you don't accept that we won, then let's have a rematch. That's exactly what principal wanted. He says, all right, this fight will take place in 2 days. Then we're shown a scene from 2 days later. By then, a lot of students from the First Academy had already arrived. This fight was supposed to be between 5 students. Here, 5 students from the First Academy step forward, and on the other side, 5 students from Mythos' class come forward. The fight ended very quick because Mythos' class was using wordless magic. Because of this, they defeated them very easily. Seeing this, the principal was very surprised. He says, you cheated. I don't accept this victory, he says, and then he sees Eris. He says, we will fight her. He thought Eris was weak, but the principal says, let me check this sword first. When he checks it, it's just a normal sword, but it's very hard. The principal agrees, but while Eris is looking at him, she accidentally bends the sword. The principal was shocked to see this. He says, she's a monster, and starts making excuses again. At that moment, the king makes his entrance there. The king knew that this principal would not let the children learn wordless magic, and the king also knew how useful wordless magic was because he had seen Mythi's power. So he fires the other principal and tells the students of the First Academy and the Second Academy to learn magic together. In the next scene, we see Mythesh and his 4 friends inside a dungeon, where they had come to defeat a monster because Mythesh wanted his team to become even stronger, and he also needed some crystals. Eris says, is he using her just for the crystals? To this, Mythesh replies, no, I'm not using anyone. As they move forward, they encounter some monsters, and Alma and Lori fight them. Mythesh observes that his team is doing well. On the other hand, Eris was in a bad condition as she was creating problems, and all her attacks were hitting Mythesh instead of the monsters. Mythesh dodges her attacks. Later, Mythesh finds a crystal ball. With it, he can summon even more monsters here. Then he asks Eris to put her power on it. Eris starts channeling her power into it. At the same time, she begins to use too much power. Mythesh tells her to stop. Mythesh says, you need to slow down, but for some reason, Eris increases her power even more, which causes the dungeon walls to start collapsing. So they all start running away from there. Mythesh says, I told you to slow down, so why did you increase your power? To this, Eris replies that last time, he was the one who told her what slow means. Who knows why Mythesh said that in his previous life, so Eris misunderstands the meaning. Anyway, we see that because of her power, she ended up summoning a dragon there. This dragon was very dangerous and was watching them, but Eris ends up making it angry. After that, it starts chasing them. Mythesh thinks this is the perfect opportunity to set up his trap, so he starts laying traps around the area, and then we see that the dragon has slammed Eris into the ground. At the same time, it was moving toward Alma and Lori. Both of them run away, but Mythesh tells Eris to save them. After that, Eris attacks the dragon again and knocks it away. Just then, Mythesh uses his spell and captures the dragon, and together, with teamwork, they defeat the dragon. After that, Eris brings a big split ball. They got it because they killed the dragon, and now, taking it with them, they return to the school. There, we see that they are training. During the training, they completely destroy that area. Right now, Mythesh is teaching Eris how to control her power, because when she attacks, she isn't able to control her power. For this, Alma's arrows are very special because they chase after the monster. So Eris just had to dodge them and run away, and during that time, she had to try not to use her power. Eris has a really hard time, but she doesn't give up. On the other side, Mythesh was teaching Lori the untimed skill. Lori really likes thick and big swords, so he says, now I'll teach you how to make 8 different kinds of swords. After learning these, Lori will also be able to enchant swords with magic, which will be extremely powerful. Later, he calls Eris and Alma over as well and tells them that Lori has made swords for them too. Lori shows off her sword's power and slices the stone placed there right down the middle. After that, Eris steps forward, but when she uses her sword, so much power comes out of it that she almost destroys the entire school again. Seeing this, Lori and Alma were both extremely shocked. Anyway, later we see that Mythesh is once again busy collecting crystals. We find out that he's collecting so many crystals because Mythesh said they need to create a barrier over their kingdom, and for that, they'll need a lot of crystals. Mythesh was busy with this, but then he gets news that some demons are about to attack here. Mythos tells Alma, Lori, and Eris to handle them. They get really scared, but still, they get ready to go. Then we see Lori going to the other side, where some demons appear in front of her. There were only 2 demons, but they were extremely powerful. There, Lori remembers that Mythos gave her a split stone and told her that with its help, she could create powerful arrows. By the way, these arrows were made of metal. Spiritual energy motivates this. Now, with its help, she attacks those demons and very quickly defeats them. Later, when Mythos finds out about this, he says, "You did a good job. Now it's clear that maybe those demons were just testing us by attacking." Mythos tells them not to go anywhere yet, but after a little while, another demon shows up. He is extremely angry and immediately attacks. But everyone works together to create a seal and stop the demon's attack. But that demon became even angrier, and then the warriors there started attacking him again. However, the demon blocks all their attacks, and he says, "You people can't do anything to me with these attacks." Meanwhile, Luri was busy creating a powerful arrow, but she doesn't have enough energy for this, and she's also not that skilled, yet somehow she still manages to create a powerful arrow. Actually, in this moment, all the warriors motivate Luri a lot. We do. After that, Luri finally manages to create a powerful arrow. Then after that, Alma shoots the arrow towards the demon. The demon managed to dodge that attack too, but the arrow curves around and hits the demon, causing it to fall down. Then all the students start attacking it and finish it off. But then, a huge group of demons shows up there. Now, they had no hope left. That's what everyone was thinking. They all wished that Mythos would show up there. After a little while, Mythos arrives and, moving at incredible speed, attacks and wipes out all of them, then comes down. All the students there were really happy. Mythos says that he has completed his task. He had gone to prepare the crystal that would create the barrier, and finally, the crystal is ready. He channels energy into it to activate it and creates a barrier around the kingdom. Then Mythos says that now the real fun is about to begin, because the dragon that the demons are controlling is about to be activated, and an army of 5,000 demons is heading their way. Hearing this, everyone gets scared, but then Mythos says, "We will defeat them." In just a short while, the dragon crystal gets activated, and dragons and monsters start coming from there. At first, a few monsters appear, and after defeating them, even more powerful monsters show up. But when even more monsters come at the end, they end up leaving again. After that, the most dangerous monster of all emerges there. This was a fire boss level monster. Mythos was happy because he wanted to fight such a powerful monster. He steps forward and starts attacking. During this, he was using a lot of split stones because the monster was just that powerful. He kept healing himself, but Mythos also attacks it in a special way. He creates a lot of formations, jumps on them to increase his speed, and uses this to launch multiple attacks, making it impossible for the monster to defend itself. And finally, he was seriously injured. After that, Mythos finishes it off with a final blow using all his power. Now, along with all the students, the entire kingdom was extremely impressed and happy with Mythos. Later, we see Mythos telling the principal that he wants to explore the dungeon to increase his power. For this, he would have to leave the kingdom. The principal had no problem with it. In fact, he even gives him a scholarship because he's doing all this for the good of the kingdom. All the other girls were sad. He's leaving us behind. But then the principal asks if they want to go with Mythos, to which they all say yes. Later, we see that they had already left from there on a new journey. Iris asks, "Where are we going now?" To which Mythos mentions the name of a dungeon. However, it wasn't the name of any single dungeon. It was a place where there are a lot of dungeons, to which Iris says she's never heard of such a place. But then Alma says that it's actually a city. Mythos is surprised to hear this because in his previous life, thousands of years ago, no one used to live in that place because no one would want to live so close to so many dungeons. Monsters are always showing up there. Later, Mythos tells them that they'll have to take a shortcut, but that shortcut goes through a forest, and that forest is very dangerous. While passing through, they even have to spend the night in that forest. That's why Alma and Lori were scared about it. But after they reach the forest, at first, they don't see any monsters, so they were happy. They thought there weren't any monsters there, but Mythos wanted to find monsters, so he goes ahead on his own. There, he finds some monsters and also some animals that they could eat. Mythos catches them and brings them back. Later, they start cooking there. That's when we find out that Iris is really good at cooking because she's thousands of years old. That's why she knows how to cook. Even though she's a dragon, Alma, who is a girl, doesn't know how to cook. She makes soup, and both Mythos and Lori knew that drinking the soup would be worse than dying at the hands of a demon, so they don't drink the soup. Iris didn't know this, so she ends up drinking the soup. However, when she finds out, she realizes that drinking that soup was her biggest mistake. After that, they moved on from there. They were feeling very confident because they knew that now no monsters would come their way. This was happening because all the monsters had sensed the dragon energy coming from Iris, and now they were scared. After a short while, they arrive at the town. The condition of the town was really bad. Just then, a lantern hanging there suddenly explodes. Everyone gets a little startled. However, later they meet a man from the town, and he tells them to leave this place. From that man, they learn about the new lord who has come to the city. He has forced almost every head of the household into the dungeon so they can bring back crystals and defeat that monster. Mythos thought this was completely wrong because no one should be forced like that. Later, Mythos and his whole group go to register their names to enter the gate. But there, Mythos meets a kind-hearted girl. She was kind-hearted because when Mythos asks to register his name, she tells him that he shouldn't do it since his information will be revealed to the city's new lord, who will then use Mythos for his own purposes. Mythos thanks her for this, but but he also says that he wants to see this for himself. Right after this, a girl comes over and says that she needs a healer. She asks if there's any healer here, please raise your hand. Mythos immediately raises his hand. After that, she takes them to a place. I was really shocked when I saw it. There were a lot of people there in really bad condition. Mythos immediately steps forward and starts to heal someone. But just then, a man comes over and stops them from doing that, because Mythos is young and he doesn't think Mythos can heal anyone. Plus, he has a lot of crystals in his hand, but Mythos says he should be given a chance. So Mythos immediately heals the patient, and the patient gets completely better right away. Seeing this, the man was amazed, but after that, he gave Mythos permission. Now, they can all work together. At the same time, that man was also helping them. In no time at all, they healed the people there. Later, when the doctor was thanking Mythos, Mythos asked him about the people there, to which he replied that the previous lord was very good, but he died due to an illness. They still haven't figured out what illness he had, and after that, the new lord who came has been making life miserable for the whole city. Mythos understood that this was probably the work of a demon. After this, we see that they all rent a room and stay there because Mythos had decided that he would help these people. Right now, all 4 of them are staying in one room, where Mythos says that he is going to send a secret letter to the kingdom to inform them about the situation here. However, while everyone else was asleep, Mythos and Lori couldn't fall asleep because they were sleeping together, and both of them like each other. That's why they were feeling a bit awkward. After sleeping in the same room, the scene changes and we see that the next morning, they arrive outside a dungeon. After going inside the dungeon, they defeated the boss there in very little time and took its skull straight to the guild, where they handed it over to the big-hearted girl. That girl is shocked, but she says, "We're keeping this, but I also have to inform people about it." Midas says, "I have no problem with that." But that big-hearted girl writes in the letter that Midas is a very weak healer. She wrote this on purpose so that the Lord wouldn't pay attention to him. After this, we see that Midas is having a party at the house because they have defeated a really big monster. That's why they received a pretty substantial reward. Now, after leaving from here, Midas notices that some people are keeping an eye on him. He realized that these were the Lord's men, so he slowly moves forward and then, using telepathy, Midas tells everyone that they need to disappear for a while. He immediately uses an invisibility spell and vanishes. Then everyone else there was left surprised. But then suddenly, Midas and the others appear in front of them, and their leader grabs hold of Midas. But seeing all this, all the girls were laughing. After that, a fight breaks out, but it ends very quickly because those men lost. In the next scene, we see that Midas has gone with all the girls to meet that special man who was sent by the king. The king had already received the letter. That's why he sent his personal man here. That man had brought a message. If it really is the Lord's fault, then he will be removed from the throne. That's why he will help Midas. Just then, they arrive at a certain place. When they go inside, they are confronted by a bunch of people. But they weren't divans, meaning they weren't that powerful. That's why Midas defeated all of them in a single attack. But his Lord wasn't found inside because he was hiding. But while everyone was searching for the Lord, Ithis finds a path. He goes down that path. On the other side, we see the Lord there. He was happy because he didn't think anyone could catch him. Just then, the man sent by Met His arrives there with the post. That man tells the Lord that he is being removed from his throne. The Lord was angry and wasn't ready to leave. He uses a bell to knock him unconscious. Met His says maybe he was working with the demon, and that's when Met His finds a piece of paper there, from which he senses a faint demon energy. This turned his suspicion into certainty. After a short while, we see that some life starts coming toward the town. I understood that the Lord, together with the demon, was activating the dragon wags. Actually, there's a dragon waste there, so Ithis explains that if we don't stop this within 2 hours, a lot of monsters will show up here. For that, and all his friends had already left from there. To find him, he ends up inside the same dungeon. I immediately tell him to move the wall there. Then he sees that the dragon waste is right in front of him. However, there were also a lot of monsters outside. Because of this, Mithil tells all the girls, "You close this off. I'll handle those monsters." And as soon as he steps outside, he sees a huge number of monsters there. He quickly takes out all those monsters, and after that, he meets someone there. Now, as soon as I see this person, Steven had already contacted his boss. While Devin was talking to his boss, Mythish used his spell to listen in on their conversation. Mythish realized that their boss knows about the true power of the dragon race, so stopping him was the most important thing. At first, I was fighting Thesis, but I knew he wasn't just any ordinary person. He was extremely powerful, so I was trying to fight him from a distance. I was surprised to see how much he knew about me, but then, he's an expert at setting traps. That's why he was attacking in different ways, trying to get him caught in a trap. And pretty soon, that's exactly what happens. But at that moment, his boss tells him to use his full power. As soon as he's told this, he breaks free in his true form, and I start attacking him. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lori was getting worried, but here I trap him again and, drawing my sword, defeat him. After this, we see that Lori and I together sealed Dungeon West, which caused the people who had come to the city to disappear, and the remaining monster structures were defeated by Alma and Iris working together. Later, Mythish was trying to find out about him. Somehow, he manages to contact the demon boss, but the demon boss tells him that no matter how hard he tries, he'll never be able to find him. This makes me a little angry, and I say, "I won't let you get away, and I'll come to you very soon." Rahul, he puts a small small monster on her head and tells Alma to shoot arrows at Eris's head. But Mythish didn't know how he was going to get to him. Just then, Mythish remembers a device and tells all the girls that they need to find a device that can help them locate him. They were surprised and asked how Mythish even knew about such a device, but Mythish wasn't about to tell them. He was actually the one who made that device, but just then, EVS stops him so that they don't find out about it. Later, we see that they had reached near the school in the kingdom. There, they tell the principal that they need permission to leave the kingdom. Once again, the principal says that first this message will have to be sent to the king, which will take 2 or 3 days. Mythish says it's okay. In the meantime, we'll stay here at the school and help with the work. Actually, there's work going on at their school because the first time during training, Mythish and his friends had destroyed the school. Mythish was looking around to see how he could help. That's when he sees Iris helping out on her own, but instead of being helpful, she ends up making things worse and breaking more stuff. Now we see that after 2 or 3 days, they finally got the permission. So they set out to find the device. After arriving at the other kingdom, they find out the location. But to go to that place, their adventure rank needs to be pretty high. They have to reach about an A rank. So for that, they go to the guild and tell them that the king has sent them. The examiner there agrees, but he says that another examiner will come to test them. Just then, a boy enters who is an S rank. He says that today he will be their examiner and Mythish will have to fight him. However, the previous examiner was refusing to allow this because Jules is extremely powerful. But Jules tells Mythish that if he wants to reach a rank, he has to fight Jules. Jules also says that if you defeat me, I'll pass the girls without even testing them. But Mythish notices that he is using magic. However, he realizes that even Jules himself doesn't know that he can use magic. During the fight, Jules launches a lot of attacks at once without even realizing it, but Mythish defeats him and throws him far away. Jules is shocked to see this because he is an S-rank adventurer. However, later Mythish gives him a book and Jules says that he doesn't know how to use magic. But Mythish says no. You automatically use magic spells during fights, and with this, you'll be able to make them even more powerful. Jules thanks Mythish and then raises his rank. Later, they meet again and he says that he will join his team. But Mythish refuses and says that they're going somewhere else right now. They needed to increase their rank for that place, so they raised their rank. Jules says, alright, but that place is dangerous, so if you ever feel like you need my help, you can just tell me directly. Mythish thanks him and leaves from there. After traveling for a few days, they find the place where the device is. Then, when they get there, they realize that they'll have to go inside this primate. They say, how are we supposed to get inside? There's no entrance here at all. But Mythish says that a special kind of magic was used here. After that, Mythish uses this magic and they all get inside. As soon as they come inside, Mythish is given his device. Mythish also knew that he had created a lot of things back then. They should be here. So he tells everyone that they can look around here for something for themselves. Mythish gets really happy because she needed to find food here. Then Luri brings a weapon and just like that, everyone else also brings something or the other. Then Mythish activated his special device. That device locates the Demon Lord. It tells them that the Demon Lord is currently imprisoned in a way, but he's about to be freed very soon. And at the same time, Mythish discovers the Demon Lord's true power, which actually makes him a little scared for the first time. Mythish understood that the Demon Lord is much more powerful than he is. But then Mythish tells Alma and Luri that they have to find and bring him his weapon. That's the only way we can defeat the Demon Lord. Mythish says the Demon King could show up here at any moment. That's why he'll stay right there, and then Alma and Luri leave from there. A little while later, a portal opens up in the sky and out comes the Demon Lord. Everyone in the kingdom sees him and they all get scared. Then we see Mythish tell Iris to launch an attack, but the Demon Lord isn't affected by the attack at all. In fact, after this attack, the Demon God became even angrier. Then he draws his sword and starts attacking Mythish, but Mythish tries his best to block the attack. However, the Demon King injures him badly. The Demon King realized that Mythish isn't as powerful as he was in his previous life. On the other side, Alma and Luri are doing everything they can to find Mythish's special weapon, while Mythish himself is badly injured there. But Mythish wanted to give Luri as much time as he possibly could. However, the Demon King mocked him, saying, I never thought you'd turn out to be this weak. I thought I would be fighting a truly powerful opponent, but you're just a child. Then we see that Alma and Luri have finally found Mythish's special weapon. After this, when Mythish realizes he has no other options left, he knows he'll have to sacrifice himself. However, the Demon King realized that Mythish was trying to stop him, so the Demon King ignores Mythish and attacks the barrier instead. Mythish was badly injured, but he does everything he can to protect the barrier. Then Mythish keeps fighting the Demon King. After that, Alma throws Mythish's sword back to him. Mythish catches the sword, but at that moment, the Demon King runs his own sword right through Mythish. Seeing this, Luri starts crying. But then, a huge amount of energy bursts out from Mythish's sword, and an incredible surge of magical power starts flowing through him. Mythish then begins to fight the Demon King again. Now, Mythish is overpowering the Demon King. The Demon King asks him, where did you get so much power from? But without saying anything, Mythish attacks him at incredible speed and kills him. As the Demon King is dying, he says, don't be too happy, because there are many demons in this world as powerful as me who will come to kill you. Then we see that the fight is over. Mythish and his friends were extremely happy because they didn't lose a single life, although they did destroy some buildings. Then we see Mythish getting ready because he had to go meet the king, and Luri was watching him from the gate. Then Mythish goes to the king, and the king asks him what reward he wants this time. To this, Mythish says that he just wants to continue his adventure journey. The king gives him permission, and Mythish and his friends set out on a new mission. That night, Mythish gives Luri a gift which made her very happy, and what happened with them after that, we'll see some other time. And with that, the story ends here.